Motorcycle riders are our neighbors, friends, the banker, restaurant chef, and maybe the pastor in your local church. More motorcycles are on the road than ever before in Arkansas, and it's time we started looking out for them. Look back a second time before you make that turn, or before you pull out in an intersection. It might take 2 seconds, but it just might save a neighbor's life. Take 2 for Arkansas. It's worth it. Look twice for motorcycles. A message from the Arkansas State Police Highway Safety Office.
Do you spend more time watching nature programs than experiencing the real thing? More time laughing at TV jokes than joking around yourself? More time watching TV sex than making love yourself? Then there's something you're missing. Television isn't real, but the addiction is. A message from the Media Foundation.
Every time we say goodbye.
Goodbyes are never easy, but none are as painful as saying goodbye forever. So please, give blood once more this year. You could help save someone you never want to part with.
I wonder why a little.
I'm Clark Bueling. I am public access, and so are you.
Hi, with us today is Dan Robinson, Executive Director of Fayetteville Public Access Television. How are you?
I'm well.
Now, Dan, Fayetteville celebrates 35 years of public access television this year. But as we know, educating the public about public access is always an ongoing process.
It's true.
So I guess maybe we could spend a couple minutes or so just explaining what public access is.
Absolutely. Fayetteville Public Access Television is a unique resource that the City of Fayetteville provides for its residents, where we offer training, we offer equipment, and we offer a channel to distribute the content. So it's everything that you need to make your video ideas a reality.
Now, when I came in today, you were teaching a class.
That was the case.
Now, what kind of class were you teaching?
We were teaching basic editing today. So we have basic field, which gets you using cameras to shoot in the field. Then we have basic editing class, which gets you editing in Adobe Premiere Elements. And then we have basic studio classes, which gets you utilizing the television studio here at the Television Center.
Now, people out there are watching this and going, I can't afford to take those classes down there.
Right? They are free.
Free
that is
to
really,
the public, really?
It really is free. And
that sounds stupid. I know they're free to the public.
But yes, for Fayetteville residents, employees of the City of Fayetteville, employees of Fayetteville-based nonprofits, and students of Fayetteville-based schools all have the opportunity to use this resource free of charge.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So if these employees, even if they don't live in town, they're able to use it?
That's correct. We ran into an interesting circumstance where I had a group of people come from Fayetteville Public Library, a prominent local nonprofit.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do some work, but several of them lived in Greenland and in other places that were not Fayetteville. And so I went to the Director of Media Services and requested that we make a stipulation that would allow for employees of Fayetteville-based nonprofits to utilize the resources to let people know about the things that they're doing here in town.
Now, the nice thing is, and we're in the 21st century now, that not only is Fayetteville Public Access Television on television, but it's also on the infernal internet.
That's correct, and we're very excited about that. Whereas with television, we're not able to know exactly how many people are watching when.
Which can be a good thing.
Yeah, on the internet, we get Google Analytics, and so we're able to know exactly how many people are watching. We can tell when they're watching and really meet the needs of our viewing audience better because we have that information.
Yeah, because and actually, when you go to the site, you can see the whole list of programs that are available.
That's right. We do have a VOD catalog available on our
Yeah.
live stream channel as well. So that's faypublic.tv /watch.
And you can see how many people have watched that show.
That's
particular
right.
show,
It's
too,
got
yeah.
a counter on the VOD, so we can
Right,
see how
which
many
is very
people
nice,
interact
yeah.
with those programs.
And and there's a wide spectrum, just like what's offered on the channel. There's a wide spectrum of shows that are available to people to watch.
That's right. Everything from yoga shows to music shows to interview shows like this one and variety shows. We have a wonderful palette of things to check out.
Now there's an orientation too, isn't there, offered to people if they're interested?
Yes, anybody who wants to get involved here at the Television Center has to initially go through an orientation, which gets them comfortable with the policies that we have here and gets them started on their path to the other classes.
Do they get like a tour of the studio too?
Yes,
tour of the
that is
station?
part of the orientation, is a tour of the station.
Yeah. Now, how hard is it to learn the equipment? Because
Well-
it's like people get freaked out
Right.
with they got freaked out with their VCRs or alarm clocks. Now
Yep.
they get freaked out by their DVD players or their DVRs.
Sure.
How hard is it to learn the equipment?
Well, I mean, everyone has their own learning curve for sure, but we find that the equipment that we're using now is more user-friendly than anything that we've had so far. We've noticed that now that we've moved away from tape and
Yeah.
moved into a fully digital workflow, things are faster, they're more efficient, you're able to have more control. So I would suggest to people that even though it seems intimidating, now in the digital age, technology and these sort of systems are even more accessible than they were before.
That's a much nicer picture than was on tape too.
Absolutely, much better picture.
Yeah. Now, there's another thing that is offered to the public, and this is called the Short Takes.
That's right.
program.
Every Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. and every Thursday from 11 to noon, we offer any of the people who are able to use the channel, that same group of people, any Fayetteville resident has the opportunity to come in and have 5 minutes to share their thoughts, their opinion, their talents with
They could sing a song or
with a
tell a joke?
television and internet audience. That's right. So it's a great resource for local politicians. You know, Mayor Lionel Jordan says he was elected on pizza and public access.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity for politicians to come down and express their thoughts, and then local musicians. We have acoustic musicians come in, and they have the opportunity they could come in twice a week. And by the time, after several weeks, they would have a wide palette of acoustic songs that then anyone who does a short take has the opportunity to then get that video either in a digital format or on a DVD and use that video however they would like. You can upload it to your own YouTube channel. You can promote with it. So it's a wonderful resource to be able to do that for free and then utilize that video on the outside.
I've used it myself to tell bad jokes. Right. Now, here's another question a lot of people wondered over the years. If you're using your own equipment,
Yes.
a lot of people think, well, public access sounds interesting, but I have to use their equipment. But I have my own equipment. I have my own camera. I have my own stuff at home, so they probably won't accept my stuff.
That is not the case. In fact, we have any Fayetteville resident can request that anything that they have non-exclusive distribution rights to broadcast. Then we have a program request form that they would fill out, and on that form it says that you have the rights to go ahead and distribute that. But then they have the opportunity to see whatever they would like on the channel.
Right.
So anyone who's producing video around, or even if you have a friend who's producing video that's not from Fayetteville, a Fayetteville resident can request that be played on the channel.
Now, that's an important thing to remember.
It is. That we feel like that really makes the catalog more rich. We love locally focused programs, but we also love to see and we've had submissions from local filmmakers, music videos. We've had all sorts of things from the community that we've had the honor of having on the channel.
Now, filmmaking is interesting because a lot of people have actually made films down here.
That is the case. You can use these resources and I really encourage people to create a proof of concept.
Yeah.
When someone's wanting to make a film, it's very hard to talk to investors. It's very hard to talk to people who you're wanting to get involved with because they want to see what it's going to be. At Public Access, you have the opportunity to check out equipment and give people just a little glimpse of what your film would be. Create a proof of concept and then go from there.
And people put plays on in this studio.
That has happened as well.
That's happened as well?
It's just...
And a lot of people just don't think about that, but this is the perfect place for it.
That's right. And you have because it's free, you can rehearse.
Yes.
People very often think that they've got to come in and do it right the first time, when in fact, we encourage people to come in and try it, and you can record it, and if you get something good, that's great, but if not, you can always come back again.
It's like, how do you get to Broadway? Practice, practice, practice.
Exactly.
Now, there's something else this is a video dubbing service.
Yes. We have, if you have mini DV tapes from back in the day, if you have VHS tapes and you're wanting to have them converted to DVD, we offer that service.
Now, you're not talking about people bringing their Star Trek tapes in.
Right, no, your home movies and your, those memories that stay on those tapes and you don't pull them up, because who has a VCR or a camcorder that takes mini DV tapes lying around? Those memories tend to stay locked in those tapes, and we would love to see those come into so that they have the opportunity to enjoy those home movies.
I still have a Betamax player in the closet.
Really?
Yes.
That was a great format.
I'm very old. But there's also, a lot of people don't realize this, there's an internet workstation here.
That is the case. We have a public internet workstation in our lobby that people are welcome to come in and utilize, mainly for people who are doing productions.
Yeah.
They have the opportunity to do research if they need to, but also to just check in and see what's going on.
It's good to stay involved with the outside world. Now, if I can't pull a group of people together to help me with my show,
right?
Is it possible to get the station to produce it for me?
It is. We offer contract production services here at Fayetteville Public Access Television. To make a studio production happen, you really need a technical director, an audio operator, a graphics operator, and a camera operator. But if you're not able to get a team like that together, we will staff a show for you. And that way, if you're wanting to have a show produced and want to make it happen immediately, Public Access offers those services for a small fee.
Right.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that, too.
Yep. It is a really wonderful resource, especially for nonprofits, because Public Access is specifically non-commercial. These services and everything that we produce here has to be aired on the channel.
Right.
And so it has to be a non-commercial thing.
Right.
But for nonprofit organizations here in Fayetteville and in Northwest Arkansas, this resource is a really amazing opportunity to get the word out within their budgets, which are very often nothing.
Now, here's an important thing. It's also important, I guess, that people learn to promote their stuff too, isn't it?
Yes. Making your video is only the first step. Letting the people know it's there is a very important second step.
Yeah.
But now we have the amazing tool of social media, where we've found that people are able to, for instance, if they create a show, they create a Facebook page specifically for that show.
Yeah.
And so we have more than 1,000 likes on Fayetteville Public Access Television's Facebook page, but then we also have these shows that have a whole separate set of likes, and that's an audience that we're able to reach and then direct them to Public Access to watch the show.
And the least they could do is to tell all their friends on email about their show.
Yep. There are lots of ways to let people know.
There's no excuse for people not watching people's shows.
Especially now that you can put a link right in a Facebook post.
Exactly.
And people can watch it on demand rather than appointment television.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, here's another thing. You also teach people you can show people how to put their stuff on YouTube.
That's correct. As part of our editing class, at the tail end of our editing class, we show people how from Adobe Premiere Elements, there's a very easy path to uploading your video straight to YouTube, straight to Facebook, but then we also air it on the channel, so you have the opportunity to reach our audience and also reach your own.
So how hard is that to do to post stuff on Facebook?
It's really, YouTube? Once your video is edited, it's the click of a button.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So, do you get people come in who just totally misunderstand what public access is?
Sometimes there's a little confusion. Most of the time, there's a significant sense of awe.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe this is here. That is very often what I hear. And also, how did I not know this was here? And so we're always working on awareness. But then once they see what we've got going on, they get pretty quick.
Yeah.
The value of this resource, how important it is to preserve the citizens' First Amendment rights is very important, even in this digital age. You can't, rely on your cell phone and YouTube.
No.
You want to be able to have something that a place that you can come get support, and a place that you're able to produce video that will be not censored.
Yep.
It will be, and it's a first come, first serve, non-discriminatory environment to make your video.
And one of the nicest things about public access is it's kind of like the weather, is that you don't know what it's going to be like an hour from hour.
That's true. That's true. The programming is a rich variety of many things, and we share the program schedule, so you can definitely check that out. But then the VOD catalog has really given people, I think, more access to public access, because rather than having to make an appointment to watch a show, you're able to pull it up at your convenience.
Must-see TV.
That's right.
And I think people should really do that. Check that catalog, check the website, and see what's on TV.
Yep.
I think it will amaze people, because I think a lot of times over the years people think public access, and they think, oh, it's going to be like TV in Sedalia, Missouri in 1953. But people have been able to do a lot of really professional-looking shows on public access.
Absolutely. You often hear the comparison to Wayne's World, you know, that people knew about Wayne's World.
I wish they never made that.
But at the same time, it shows how, you know, even the goofiest of people can find a way to tap into the resource, connect with an audience, and make their dreams come true. We see that happen here.
When I used to teach classes, I used to teach them that there's virtually nothing that you see on regular TV that you can't do on public access.
That's right.
Maybe not the real high-tech special effects. They might take a lot longer, but you can almost do anything else you see on regular TV.
That's right. And there's something special about being able to turn on your television and see people that you know.
That's right.
See your community, see the people that you want to support and you want to see. It's exciting to see your friends.
Right, and talk about local issues in a way that a lot of times commercial stations just don't.
That's right.
They'll give 30 seconds to it.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. Now, how did you manage to end up in Fayetteville?
My wife was from Fayetteville, and so we met in Kansas City, where I was finishing up my bachelor's degree in music composition.
Composition, right.
And so we moved to Fayetteville in 2001 to raise our kids here and be close to her family. I was a military kid growing up, so I
really. What branch was your father in?
Army.
Mine was in the Air Force.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
My father's Army retired, and I really appreciate his service and everyone's service in our military. It's very important. It gave me the opportunity to live all over the world.
Yeah.
And so when I came to Fayetteville, I realized it was a diamond of a town, that we have something very special here that it's hard to accomplish in a lot of other places. So the sense of community and just the wonderful things that are happening here made us want to stay here. And so I started in 2001 working here in live production. I worked at George's Majestic Lounge for a couple of years. My wife and I ran that, and it was very exciting. That kind of forced me to immediately connect with the community.
Yeah.
Because the entire community uses George's.
Right.
And so I had people...
At some point or another in their lives, they go there.
That's right. I got to meet everybody through the legendary happy hour, and then through events and that sort of thing. So it was a wonderful opportunity for me between 2002 and 2004 to really connect with the community in a way that I wouldn't have if I had not been running George's Majestic Lounge. And then when we sold it to the next owners, then I stayed on from 2006 to 2008 as his production manager, as the lead sound engineer there. And then in 2008, I moved to video production.
Right, and you've helped with documentaries. In fact, you've produced several documentaries.
I have. I had the honor of scoring many documentaries, and that was kind of what, as I watched my friend editing, it was like, you know what, this looks like composition with video.
Right.
So that was kind of how I approached it. And then I released, actually last year, we released our first documentary film about local photographer Andrew Kilgore for Fayetteville Public Library. Yeah. And that was a very exciting project. We worked on that film for 4 years. And then I had the unique honor of being able to interview President Bill Clinton for that movie.
You also scored, you've also done about 30 albums?
I have had the opportunity to produce albums for bands. A band will come to me, and I have a recording studio, and so I'm able to, and I've had great local bands, including Oreo Blue, and several other very prominent local bands. I've had the opportunity to produce their records, and I really enjoy recording.
So, as working on documentaries, has that helped you with your experience here with public access television?
Absolutely. The format of documentary films with interviews and being informational is a very common format here at Public Access. So it is nice to be able to consult with people on how to get effective interviews and how to make that sort of look happen. So yes, it definitely crosses over into what we do here.
Is there ever a self-confidence problem on the part of people when they come in?
You know, that's a great question. We have a survey on the back of every test that we give. And it's like, did you like the class? Yes. Do you feel like the instructor taught well? Yes. Is there anything you change? No. And then it's like, do you feel confident about what you've done? We put that on the survey. And we've seen in the last 6 months, we've seen those numbers. It's a 1 to 5 scale.
Right.
We've seen that go from 4s 2 5s.
Really?
And that is the one that we really feel like is most important, because people will be like, yeah, you did a great job, but I'm not sure if I'm ready yet. And when they come out of a class feeling like, I am ready to make this happen, then we feel like we've really done our job well.
So how long does it take? What's the usual length of time does it take someone to do a project?
That's, it totally varies on the project. But, we hope that people can see that a 2-week turnaround is a very reasonable amount of time, to get your stuff shot and then be able to edit a program, in the software, because it is so efficient. I believe that someone, even on a volunteer basis, working with a limited schedule, should be able to crank out a basic interview program or an op-ed piece or something about the community in about 2 weeks. But we have people come in who shoot something one day and release it the next day. We have people who take 3 to 4 months to work on a project. Right. So, and we are happy to accommodate anyone at the speed that they want to work.
Yeah, that's not, a lot of people really don't understand just how incredibly simple it is in the 21st century.
That's right.
To be able to do this.
It is a whole different game. With nonlinear editing, you have the opportunity to really kind of work with things and make it happen so much faster. And then once again, there's kind of a rehearsal stage. Whereas with tape, when you did it, you put so much effort into it that you wanted it to be done. With the digital, you have the opportunity to cut something and see if it works.
And with tape, it was so easy to break, what we call the control track too.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, so many obstacles that just aren't a problem anymore.
And this is a beautiful studio compared to some studios I've seen across the country. This is a dandy studio.
I've recently done research into other successful public access operations around the country. And having done that research, I would say that we are in the top 10 in the nation as far as our community interaction and our viewership and being a vibrant public access channel, because public access channels are dying. Because of statewide franchise agreements, cable companies are no longer required to provide municipalities with public access channels. So if a city outside of Fayetteville wants to start one, the answer is probably going to be no.
Yeah.
So it is very important to preserve this resource, and we feel honored to have such a vibrant public access community here in Fayetteville.
Also, some access stations across the country just kind of forget that they're part of the community.
That's right. It can very easily become a fiefdom. Yeah. And so yes, it is, we are so committed to connecting the community with this resource. And that's, I think, has been evident in our participation. Over the last 5 years, we've seen increased participation in our educational and in our equipment use numbers. And
as we say, it's a constant education process to let people know about public access.
That's right. Awareness is one of our biggest challenges, because we don't necessarily have a big advertising budget. We have to try to let people know through word of mouth and through social media. We've seen great progress in those two departments, but at the same time, anytime we have someone who is willing to share with other people about public access, it is so very valuable to us.
And the advertising is up really to the people who are on the channel too.
That's right. Once you produce a show, when you let your people know that the show is available, then that also opens them up to the world of things that are also available on the channel.
There's a snobbishness out there when people say who really watches public access, but I think, I think there's a lot of people who turn it on several times a week.
That's right. And especially when someone that they know is involved.
Right.
So it's very much if you do the show, then the people who support you will take part in the experience.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, I want to thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Richard. Right. Thank you for everything. I want to thank you for being a pillar of public access and an advocate. We are very proud to have On the Air continuing as it does here on Public Access.
It's part of the conditions of my parole. Well, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week.
I'm Clark Bueling. I am public access, and so are you.
Motorcycle riders are our neighbors, friends, the banker, restaurant chef, and maybe the pastor in your local church. More motorcycles are on the road than ever before in Arkansas, and it's time we started looking out for them. Look back a second time before you make that turn, or before you pull out in an intersection. It might take 2 seconds, but it just might save a neighbor's life. Take 2 for Arkansas. It's worth it. Look twice for motorcycles. A message from the Arkansas State Police Highway Safety Office.
Do you spend more time watching nature programs than experiencing the real thing? More time laughing at TV jokes than joking around yourself? More time watching TV sex than making love yourself? Then there's something you're missing. Television isn't real, but the addiction is. A message from the Media Foundation.
Every time we say goodbye,
Goodbyes are never easy, but none are as painful as saying goodbye forever. So please, give blood once more this year. You could help save someone you never want to part with.
I wonder why a little.
Hi, I want to tell you about the time that my wife Tracy and I decided to put a vegetable garden in. We put about half our yard in as a vegetable garden in a couple years ago, and it was doing pretty well. We had all kinds of things they call them vegetables. I don't know, because none of them ever reached fruition. Because our neighbor next door had this big thing, you spell it G-N-U, I guess it's pronounced GNU, but he called it a GNU. And this silly thing kept coming over and chewing on our vegetables, our cabbages, our cauliflowers, our peas on a regular basis, and they never grew. I mean, they never just. It was like vegetable abortions, because we never able to find out what they tasted like on our plates, because this stupid animal from next door kept coming over and helping himself. So I kept going over, I kept knocking on the man's door. I said, "Listen, Mr. Green Jeans," I said, "you got to do something about this stupid animal of yours." I said, it's coming over and it's eating all of our vegetables." I said, "We can't have this." I said, "My wife and I are going to go hungry." I said, we're getting on in years." I said, "We're supposed to grow our own food." I said, "We read Utne magazine." I said, "We're supposed to just be one with nature." He said, "I'm really sorry about this." He said, I'm trying to get back to nature myself. I'm raising all these GNUs." That's how he pronounced it, GNU. He said, and Harvey, my eldest GNU, keeps getting out. He said, "Tell you what, if Harvey gets out again, just look him in the eyes and say, 'Harvey, go back home,' and he'll do it." I said, "All right." So Harvey the GNU came back to our garden. I looked him in the eyes and grabbed him by the collar. I said, "Harvey, get out here!" And Harvey went home. But he was back the next day, just chomping down on my favorite cauliflower, the one that was like as big as a man's head. I was ready to make soup out of that one. And I said to him, I said, "Man," I said, "Mr. Green Jeans, I'm tired of this creature coming over chawing on our vegetables." He said, "All right." He said, "Listen, if it comes over again," he said, "just throw some pebbles at it." I said, "All right." So the next morning I saw this GNU chomping on vegetables, so I picked up some small pebbles, because I don't want to throw rocks at this thing, because it's one of God's creatures after all. So I picked up some small pebbles and tossed the pebbles at the GNU, and it scattered like a wild stallion, ran next door. Did that the next day, but it looked at me like I was the biggest idiot on God's green earth. So I marched over and I started kicking on the man's door. I said, "Listen, I'm tired of this." I said, "You're going to do something about this GNU or it's going to the glue factory." He said, "All right." And he gave me this. He said, "Listen," he said, "if Harvey comes over there again," he said, "you need to give him a couple good whacks. Just paddle him on the butt." I said, "All right, by God." I said, "I'm ready for this, because I'm tired of this creature eating our produce." So the next day I was ready, and I walked outside, and there was this big animal just chomping down our vegetables. And I walked over to him, and I raised my big old stick, and I looked at those big, gentle, stupid brown eyes, and I couldn't do it. And I walked over to Mr. Green Jeans' house, and I gave him back a stick, and I said, "Listen," I said, paddle your own canoe.
It's actually a takeoff from a song. At first it'll sound really familiar to you, probably. Maybe. Depends on your age, I guess. We think that it'll sound familiar to many of you. But really, it was one of those songs that when you really started listening to the words, you were kind of like, it's really not very real. So we took this song and we turned the words around a little bit and changed it to make it just slightly more palatable to our taste.
My clothing is out of alignment.
Take it off.
I'm not really modest, and I am hot, but I want to tell you, I am 45 years old. You get my drift.
And the defying gravity also applies in this case.
It's to
wide beyond. I run my fingers down the full length of the curtain that divides her sleeping quarters from her dressing room. She is in the ring right now, riding like a woman on fire, atop a stallion so wild that he would spook the lions. Ursula, draped in black velvet. Ursula, wrapped in orange silk. Her clothes are tailored for a boy. Trousers the color of the moon, a shirt turned up high around the collar, and long black leather boots. No one saw me come in tonight, and even if they did, no one would say a word. We keep these things to ourselves in the circus. You see, the code of the circus is as long as the endless tracks that takes our train from here to there and beyond, as long as the nape of her neck to the curve of her thigh and beyond.
Nebraska. On the buttes they hang a snake, an eyelid, and a rock of immense cold. Wide hand between knocked out earth and a new train looping through the mountains. A poet said, the heather throat of an angel, how beautiful. Crazy horse killed in guilt. Fort Robinson burned in guilt. Buffalo government paid. On the buttes they hang a snake of immense coldness, an eyelid and a rock, a sticky kind of Indian blood, a different sky every rise. Whoops. In a nursing home. It will take so long for us to travel that we will have to forget Christmas and birthdays, Timmy Matter said. Matter and matter. He gave the wall a good kick. I just know I'm going to forget something, said Father Matter. But it won't matter, said Mother. If you forget your extra shoes or your slippers, well, who's to notice? Our dog will forget who we are, said Margaret. No, he won't, said Ruth. He will just become someone else's dog. And she stuck out her tongue. I'd take my camera, said Father, in case I see any two-headed mice. Mice, said Timmy. Two-headed mice. Eating the cheese, snorted Father. When we get there, we'll snack on the cheese. Nothing else, said Margaret. No, nothing else, said Father. So they took their dog to the neighbors and said goodbye to their house. And very mad, they got into their car and drove to the launching site. It'll be March when we arrive, said Mother Matter, turning over the pages of the calendar, and Father was mad because the calendar stopped at December.
Oh, I'm fine here. This is my 12-string guitar. I call her Siggy. All my equipment have names, and this is Siggy. Now this song I want to play real quick is one of the songs I want to do for the children's program, and it's called The Space Between Your Ears. There's a part of your body where all your ideas go. It's where you learn to think for yourself. Helps you to make the choice, say yes or no. Use common sense and nothing else. Secret thoughts are thought of, is where your dreams are made of. Get yourself a book, and when you read, all you need is what we're talking about. It's that space in between your ears. Imagination has a special home. New ideas keep you thinking how to do all that space
you. Space between your ears.
This poem is called Cracking the Chest. It has to do with what is it that makes up love? Is it passion? Is it affection? What the hell is it? I had someone say to me once that they loved me so much they wanted to rip open my chest and kiss my heart. Well, that wowed me. So I've been playing with that notion for several years. And this is part of what's come out of it. It is all teeth and tongue, dirty hands and funk, cellular memory buried deep beneath the sinew of words. Passion is the stuff that drives us to rip open the chest with bare hands, leave a messy wound, lap blood with tongues thirsty, carry some flesh in the mouth for days just to savor the sticky copper taste. Press lips to a warm heart and slurp it into the cup of our dark, dark mouths. But science is another matter. The clean steel of the scalpel traces a blushing line, thin like a hair until it beads red, wet, and warm. There is precision, an arc of grace. A certain mechanics is at play here. Scalpel and scissors, wrench and hammer, retractors and clamps engage with a ratchety click to splay the chest. Part fronds of muscle stem the flow from vessels that would leave a flood in the wake of their rupture. The physics of the body is a whir, with fleshy pulleys, valves, and turning gears that churn inside a larger dance. Like Ezekiel's wheels in the equation and tumble of numbers, the spin of protons and the constant hiss of electrical surges inflate the lungs and roll the thick, smooth muscle of the heart. When the chest is cracked and split, only a strand of stainless steel can pull the bones together. Suture wraps like laces through the eyes of a shoe into a twisted embrace. Bone will approximate bone. Fingers of spidery cells span the divider space, find each other, latch on, and hold fast. Thanks.
How are we on time, Andrea? 2 minutes? Okay. I'm going to skip to the end then, on a bit of a different note. This is called Parturition 1999. In Iraq, after U.S. bombing, normal people are having babies with no faces, missing organs, half limbs, no genitals. Everyone alive is the mother. Everyone in the world today belongs to the age of deformity, God too. Here is an infant whose arms are gelled to her torso in a tangled pulp, the way we are all flesh and veined together, if we knew. No eyes or mouth, no eyes or nose, a sweet mouth. How does God make such a thing? The doctor is shuddering behind the door, dreading the next delivery, collecting pictures from Hiroshima on the Tigris to enter on the record the last of man's obscenities this millennium. Thank you.
The gentle Jesus. The gentle Jesus walked into town today wearing a worn cashmere sweater, an olive green pullover, and a pair of faded jeans that fit him well. Before he could get into the door of the Ozark Restaurant and Pancake House, he was accosted by a loudspeaker. A town crier who was laughing. "You better watch out. You better not shout, young man. We're watching you. They're watching you from space, from the space between your teeth, from the fillings in your teeth, from the..." Jesus stepped inside and sat down and ordered bacon with a spinach omelet. And the waitress looked wide-eyed with an open mouth and said, "Good God, you can't eat that. Spinach? E. coli," she whispered from behind her hand. "And the bacon will kill you. Just a little slower." Jesus winked and ordered green tea, and the waitress ran off to pour him coffee. The regular boys were sitting at their table, talking the regular war and big trucks, and "I won't play with you if you don't play fair, and I've got more money than you do." The regular big boy board games. But then someone got upset. Someone got upset with someone else and decided to take his ball and go home. Bumping his chair back against Jesus' chair, he said, "Excuse me." "You're forgiven," Jesus said, which made the man look a little funny at Jesus. A group of middle-aged women walked in and sat down in the booth next to Jesus and started in. "Now I hope that bird flu stays with them birds and don't get into us. And I hope there ain't no ticks on them birds because I don't want any Lyme disease. And I hope there aren't any mosquitoes on them ticks because my body can't take any more diseases. I already got, let's see, heart and lung and breast and kidney. And what's the other one, Betty?" "Dementia." "What?" "I said dementia, and you've also got hearing loss." "Oh yeah, and trouble with my eyes." Jesus sprinkled pepper on his toast and then sneezed. The whole table said, "God bless you." Jesus raised his hands, but then thought better of making the sign of the cross and just said, "God bless you too." When he finished his eggs, he stepped back outside where the town crier was now crying. Jesus said, "Can I help you, sir?" And the town crier said, "I just heard the trumpet, buddy, and everyone from the town just vanished into thin air. It's the rapture, and I'm left behind." Jesus, being an empathetic soul, gently touched the crying man on the shoulder, and immediately the town crier turned into a pillar of salt. The gentle Jesus leaned down, took a pinch of the man, and threw it over his left shoulder. "Just for good measure," he said. "Just for good measure." That's it, Richard.
Like if you bump into someone and they say, "Oh, you're a poet," and is there any poem you really have that you say, "Well, yes, look at this"?
Well, let's see. Well, there's one right here.
What a coincidence.
Yes. And in fact, that happened to me at one of the coffee shops a few months ago. A woman I hadn't seen for 20 years and ran into her. And
This is like that moment on the Tonight Show when the band just happens to have the music that the guest can sing.
yeah, and I didn't know what was happening in this woman's life. She said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I write poetry," and I read her this, and she said, that's wonderful. That's about what's happening in my life. And it's called Silence to Facilitate Programming. We live ready to die when we are most alive. Laughing from the inside out filters our toxins, what we live for, die from, things which follow each breath. We always fear the numbness which chases us, whispering, "Repent, come, live with me." At the end of side 1, we hear silence to facilitate programming. If we ever thought in this, what would happen? Some new outlook might emerge for each. Unafraid, some young phoenix, ready to swear off our curses, ready to take on the world and even us.
October is a month for us to all think about domestic violence. And in Kansas City, there's been a number of things going on. We participated in a Take Back the Night March. At all of these events, and if you go to the legislature, if you look in the newspaper, the way we deal with a lot of the domestic violence when we talk about it is by looking at statistics. And I want to share just a few statistics with you, even though many of you have probably already heard most of them. Every 15 seconds, a woman is battered in this country. 60% of all the young boys that grow up in violent homes and hate their father for what he does will eventually grow up and become their father. 50% of all young girls growing up in violent homes will become adult victims. There are many, many statistics, and I think statistics are a powerful way of reminding ourselves how prevalent it is, that certainly we're not alone. But they're also a little bit dangerous when people rely on them to talk about it, because in some ways you can use numbers to forget who's really being affected. A woman from Lawrence, Kansas named Rachel Miller wrote this next song. It's called Mathematics, and it looks at the phenomenon of using statistics in such a way. One in three, one in two, one every minute, someone we knew. In these numbers, there is a shade in statistics that carry no blame. We hear pat answers from those in power. We hear more lies for some to say. What about these numbers? What about the danger? Stand undivided, multiplied by anger. One in three, one in two, one every minute, someone we knew. We go away, we see our sisters, and we're counting everyone.
Politics in general and jobs that don't pay enough, 40-hour work weeks, books full of boring stuff, schools that should teach but kids don't learn a thing. These are a few of my least favorite things. Healthcare that won't heal and how people treat the earth, paying tolls and taxes, disbelief in self-worth, bitter cold winters that cut into spring. These are a few of my least favorite things. Religions that claim they're true, don't get me started. Standards that double and people cold-hearted. Judgment and bias when freedom don't ring. These are a few of my least favorite things. All the lying, all the killing. When I'm depressed and sad, I add that to all of my least favorite things, and then I feel really bad. Feel like Julie Andrews or something.
Do you spend more time watching nature programs than experiencing the real thing? More time laughing at TV jokes than joking around yourself? More time watching TV sex than making love yourself? Then there's something you're missing. Television isn't real, but the addiction is. A message from the Media Foundation.
Every time we say goodbye,
Goodbyes are never easy. but none are as painful as saying goodbye forever. So please, give blood once more this year. You could help save someone you never want to part with.
I wonder why a little.
Motorcycle riders are our neighbors, friends, the banker, restaurant chef, and maybe the pastor in your local church. More motorcycles are on the road than ever before in Arkansas, and it's time we started looking out for them. Look back a second time before you make that turn, or before you pull out in an intersection. It might take 2 seconds, but it just might save a neighbor's life. Take 2 for Arkansas. It's worth it. Look twice for motorcycles. A message from the Arkansas State Police Highway Safety Office.